I'm Joy Morris, inviting you to listen to True Stories of the Old West, hosted by C.R. King, a production of RK Enterprises.
Hello, everyone. Charles King here. I had a 2-week vacation and I was trying to edit my book, my newest book of short stories. Will be coming out soon, I hope. Today, we are going to talk about gold. Gold in California. Are you ready? Often, the history remembrance is incorrect. Example, Wyatt Earp was never a full-time lawman. I mean, his law experience was under 8 years. He was, in actuality, a gambler, a miner, a con man, and a bounty hunter. I could add a few more adjectives, but this is not about Wyatt Earp. Bat Masterson was also a lawman for a much longer time. He was a sheriff, a town marshal, a gambler, a saloon owner, a newspaper journalist, and a U.S. Marshal for the Southern District of New York City, as appointed by Teddy Roosevelt in 1905. Brothers Morgan Earp and James Masterson were not as famous as their brothers, but they were much better lawmen, better shots, better at the draw. But the difference is the two older men wanted to be famous, and the two younger ones were just doing their job. Now, in a sense, this is similar to the gold rush of 1849, which really began in 1848. It just took time for the word to get out to the East Coast. This was in Sutter's Mill. Actually, it was outside of Sutter's Mill, which is now a part of Sacramento. History books, internet historians all say that James W. Marshall discovered the gold on January 24th, 1848, while working to build a sawmill on the American River for John Sutter. He discovered something shiny, and it was gold. In reality, Marshall was not the first man to discover gold. For in Los Angeles, gold was discovered first in 1841. It was written up by Colonel J.J. Warner, a very early pioneer of Pueblo de Los Angeles, who published a book, Historical Sketches of Los Angeles County. The discovery was on the San Francisco Ranchero by Francisco Lopez. Don Stearns, another very early pioneer, but not as early, also reported the findings and agreed to the location and how it was discovered and who discovered it. He disagreed with the date. His date was March 42. The Los Angeles Historical Society, called the Pioneer Register, has additional dates. However, the date may vary, but the point is, gold was discovered prior to Sutter Mill. Newhall. Newhall is 45 miles north of Los Angeles City. It was described to be grain gold. Another better name is placer. Deposits of the mineral found as sand in the bed, rivers, and lakes is what grain gold is. Rocks were discovered later that same year, in the bed of the Santa Clara River. The river, basically 15 to 20 miles from its mouth of its source. It flowed easterly to McGrath State Beach. That's the current name, and I had been there many, many times. A great beach to camp at. The location is between Oxnard and Ventura. Even though this information has been out for decades, history books still publish the false narrative. The date does not matter as much as the facts that remain. James Marshall discovered gold in 1848. The rush was on by 1849, while Francisco Lopez, the ranch hand, discovered it 7 years earlier. The miners at Sutter's Mill extracted a total of 750,000 pounds of gold, equal to over $2 billion. California Assembly awarded Marshall a 2-year pension in 1872 in recognition of his role in the important era of California history. They renewed it in 74 and again in 76. 1878 rolled around. The pension was not renewed. James Marshall was broke when he died. The following year, after his death, a monument was made and placed on his resting spot. 5 years passed, and the native sons of the Golden West were successful of advocating Marshall's image to be placed on top of the monument. Los Angeles may not have mined as much gold as Northern California, yet the amount was substantial. And although there's a debate over the actual date of the Newhall discovery, every date is before Sutter's Mill discovery. The Santa Clara River, the only wild river left in all of California. The San Gabriel River was another one. Gold was found there as well, about the same time as Santa Clara. It runs all the way through Los Angeles. I've been over that river 100 times. And the dates were very similar, around 1842. It is written that San Gabriel River, what it pulled out, was the equivalency of over $2 billion. That's a lot of money. Not as much as Sutter's Mill, but still a lot of money. It was written that for minting purposes, Los Angeles sent up to San Francisco, just in 1 year alone, gold dust in excess of $40,000. Now, that's 1 year's yield. There was many more years after that. J.J. Warner wrote a book that has long been out of print. However, newspapers picked it up and reprinted it. Warner investigated the gold mines, the sites. He even quoted the ranch owner where Lopez discovered gold. History is fluid. It's forever changing because not all history is told correctly. Herth Davis, Life in California by Alfred Robinson, published in 1846. That's two examples. Now, in summation, the issue is who, where, and when was gold discovered in Alta California? That's been dealt with. But what should arise is why the Mexican-American War of 46 to 1848 was fought. It was fought for extra land to win the territory. When it ended, the United States had enlarged Texas, taken over territory that includes today New Mexico, Utah, and California. Now, was there a push to take over all this territory because of gold? Perhaps. I think there was a push in that direction. Or it could have been that Marshall was an Anglo-Saxon, the actual discoverer on the ranch, San Francisco Ranch, was Hispanic with possible Indian blood. And the owner was Hispanic. Was history being pushed around to ignore the real roots for an Anglo-Saxon? I think there's a real reason to look into that. Okay, everybody, that's the end of the story. Thank you for your time. Good luck. Be safe. See you in a week or so. Bye-bye.
Stay tuned for next week's tale.